stop for 1 second. Ask yourself a question so uncomfortable most people never dare to face it. Why do I sense things before they happen? Why do I feel tension before words are spoken? Why do I sometimes know someone's intention even when they smile and say the right things? That awareness you feel is not imagination. It is not paranoia. It is not coincidence. It is a suppressed human faculty, the psychological ability to read people. And the reason it feels strange is because you were trained from childhood to ignore it. Most people misunderstand what reading minds truly means. They imagine fantasy, guessing thoughts, predicting numbers, or supernatural power. That fantasy is harmless, and that is exactly why it is allowed to exist. Real mind reading is not mystical. It is biological, neurological, psychological, and far more dangerous than magic because it is real. True mind reading is the ability to decode human behavior at a level beneath speech. Words are the weakest form of communication. Anyone can lie with words. Anyone can rehearse sentences. Anyone can smile on command. But the nervous system cannot fake consistency. The body leaks truth. The eyes hesitate. The voice tightens. The breathing changes. The timing breaks. And in those fractures, reality reveals itself. From the moment you were born, society began training you to be blind, not violently, quietly. Schools reward memorization, not perception. Families reward obedience, not awareness. Culture rewards likability, not truth. Religion rewards belief, not observation. Slowly, your sharpest weapon was dulled, the ability to see people as they are, not as they present themselves. This is why so many people feel confused by human behavior. They say things like, "I don't understand why they changed," or "they seemed so genuine," or "I never saw it coming." But the signs were always there. They were simply ignored, not because the signs were invisible, but because the mind was trained to look away. Here is a psychological truth that shakes people when they finally accept it. Every human being broadcasts their inner state at all times. Fear leaks through posture. Insecurity leaks through overconfidence. Guilt leaks through excessive justification. Envy leaks through passive aggression. Desire leaks through silence. And strength leaks through calmness. You do not need permission to see these things. You only need awareness. The strongest individuals throughout history understood this. Leaders, strategists, kings, generals, psychologists, they did not rely on words. They studied behavior under pressure. They observed reaction time. They noticed who spoke first, who interrupted, who avoided eye contact, who over-explained, who stayed still. They knew that when emotion rises, authenticity leaks. Most people live emotionally exposed. They reveal their fears, needs, and insecurities without saying a word. They tell you what hurts them by what angers them. They tell you what controls them by what they chase. They tell you what they lack by what they criticize. Once you understand this, human behavior stops being confusing. This is why reading people is power. Not power to dominate others, but power to defend your inner world. When you can read people, manipulation loses its grip. Gaslighting collapses. Emotional traps fail. You stop second-guessing yourself because your observations become grounded in pattern recognition, not emotion. There is a reason emotionally intelligent people rarely explain themselves. Explanation is a defensive behavior. Clarity does not require defense. When you can read people, you no longer beg for understanding. You understand first. But here is a truth few people talk about. Once you truly learn to read people, your emotional life changes permanently. You become harder to impress and harder to deceive. Compliments lose their drug-like effect. Criticism loses its sting. You start seeing motivation behind behavior instead of reacting to the behavior itself. Psychology teaches us that human beings do not act from logic, they act from unresolved emotion. Every action is a symptom. Anger masks fear, control masks insecurity, excessive kindness masks guilt, cruelty masks shame, withdrawal masks calculation. When you stop judging actions and start identifying emotional roots, human behavior stops being confusing. Predictable does not mean simple, it means patterned. This is where most people fail. They listen to promises instead of observing repetition. They fall in love with words instead of behavior. They trust apologies instead of changed patterns, and then they are shocked when the same pain repeats. Reading people saves you from future suffering by showing you the ending before the story finishes. Another uncomfortable psychological law: people test you before they respect you. They cross small boundaries to see what you allow. They make subtle jokes to test your self-worth. They delay responses to test your neediness. They withdraw warmth to test your emotional stability. These are unconscious dominance games, not evil acts. When you can read them, you stop participating unconsciously. Most people confuse calmness with weakness. In reality, calmness is emotional superiority. A reactive person reveals their triggers. A calm person hides their leverage. This is why the most dangerous individual in any room is rarely the loudest. It is the observer, the one who speaks little, reacts slowly, and remembers everything. Reading people also forces you to confront yourself. You cannot see clearly outward if you are chaotic inward. Emotional discipline is the foundation of perception. Anger distorts interpretation. Desire creates delusion. Fear invents enemies. When your emotions settle, your perception sharpens. This is why self-control is not repression, it is clarity. As your awareness deepens, something strange happens. You begin to feel isolated, not because you are better than others, but because you see through illusions they still depend on. You notice borrowed personalities, performative morality, fake confidence, and insecure dominance. You hear words, but you listen to energy. You realize that most people are not dishonest, they are unconscious. They lie to themselves first. They believe their own masks, and when someone challenges that illusion, they react defensively, not because you are wrong, but because you are threatening their identity. This is why awareness is often punished socially. The world prefers comfortable lies to uncomfortable clarity. Another deep truth: people reveal their priorities through consistency, not intensity. Intense emotion is easy. Consistency requires character. When someone's behavior changes only when it benefits them, that tells you everything. When respect appears only when you are useful, that is not respect, it is strategy. Once you can read people, you stop romanticizing potential. You stop falling in love with who someone could be. You observe who they are under pressure, disappointment, and boredom, and those moments never lie. This power must be handled carefully. Reading people gives you insight into their vulnerabilities. Using that knowledge to manipulate or exploit corrodes the mind. True mastery is restraint, knowing what you could do and choosing integrity instead. The strongest minds are not those who control others, but those who cannot be controlled. As your perception sharpens, you begin to speak less, not because you have nothing to say, but because silence gives others space to reveal themselves. People talk when they are nervous, they explain when they are guilty, they perform when they are insecure. Silence invites exposure. You learn that those who speak the most often know the least about themselves. Those who rush to react feel the weakest internally. Those who seek attention lack internal connection. And those who observe quietly usually carry depth that does not need advertisement. Reading people also frees you from emotional slavery. You stop chasing validation because you see its source. You stop fearing judgment because you recognize the insecurity behind it. You stop feeling inferior because you recognize how fragile most egos truly are. Confidence stops being something you chase. It becomes a side effect of clarity. Eventually, betrayal no longer devastates you. Disloyalty no longer shocks you. Rejection no longer breaks you. Not because you are cold, but because you are aware. You saw the signs. You understood the patterns. You were not surprised by human nature. This does not make life dull. It makes it precise. You begin choosing people intentionally. You invest where consistency exists. You withdraw